the hardworking staff at the back are counting their votes, I will start to give an overall evaluation for everyone who participated today. So first, starting with our TNT, who is Christina. Let's give her a hand first. I think she did a good job. I know her, she's a very introverted person, but she really commanded herself on stage and tried her best in giving a good introduction for everyone and being concise and very clear with her speaking and her presentation in general. So that's a good job. And for the timer, David today, even though he's a new member in Toastmasters, I feel like he really prepared in his speech and explanation about the rules and timing. So I'm pretty sure everyone felt that it was very clear. And everyone did a good job with that. And next for our vote counter, Daniel. He came up here without any notes, and he was able to give all the rules and aspects about today's vote counter. So that's very good too. So, and now I'll go on to our first speaker for today, Claire. Let's first give her a hand for her good job. I think she had a good stage presence. You guys know what stage presence is. Like, it means that when you're on the stage, people can really notice you very well and they'll be very interested and their eyes can look at you. So I think that's very good. And she had a very clean and nice PowerPoint with very good transitions, if you guys realized. I'll give you an example. So she showed an example of the arrows to show where the lens is in the camera, and many other examples too. And it was a very informative speech about cameras, and I think we all learned something today.
Yes.
Yeah, very good. And she also did a good job in stressing the word convenience. I think it was very clear, very good. And you really nailed down the main points you wanted to convey. So good job. And next for our second speaker, Tina. I think she's also an attention grabber, very good today. And I think both in the tone of speaking and the imagery on the PowerPoint, they're both very good and very well prepared. And she has a good comparison. If you remember, she talked about the Utopia experiment about the mice, and she gave a chart showing the comparison between phase C and phase D. And I think she did a very good job in pacing and presenting her ideas regarding that. So that's just a specific comment that I want to note up. Yeah. And I think I want to ask, does everyone know what utopia means? Is there anyone who's never heard of the word utopia before? Never heard of it? Okay, I guess I'm the one who never heard of it. Because I feel like this goes for all the speakers for today. If you have something that you feel like is a professional word, or something that's within a specific category that not everyone might know, I think it's a good idea to define it before you talk about it. Or at least mention the definition after you talk about it. So that's something to be aware about.
So what's utopia?
Utopia, it means like, it's kind of like a heaven-like place, a good place. Yeah. So it can be expressed with great expression. We don't really live in utopia, we live in dystopia, which is the opposite. Yeah. And for our third speaker, it's Eric. And great reading in the beginning. Yeah, really brought everyone together. And he started with today's topic. We have 5 points. That's very good, because we want to begin with, want to talk about what your speech is about. So I think that's very important in giving a speech. And I think something to remind you is to pay attention to your speed. Because I think when you're nervous on stage, it's good if you want to you should like control your speed. Maybe you'll go a little bit too fast. So, and especially mentioning numbers and professional terms. You want to slow down for everyone to comprehend. And for our fourth speaker, Eric, you are the only one who used the pointer very clearly today. I think that's very good. Let's give him a hand for that. Yeah. And you had really good intonation. And you were not distracted by the faulty microphone during the speech. You just kept going with the speech. Because you know, during speech, sometimes some unexpected things might happen. But it's a very good skill for you to not be distracted by them at all. Yeah. And now for the table topic master. I think the one thing I realized in the meeting is you're color as her shirt. So that's a fun fact. I think that's very interesting for our eyes to see. I think they did a very good job in grabbing everyone back after everyone's discussing. I think it's very challenging, right? Yeah, it's difficult to be heard. But I think your questions are very interesting and very good topic starters. So very good job today. And now for our first table topic speaker, David. Very dramatic, uses a lot of hand motion. That's good. Good job. Yeah. And second is Sebastian. Your response was a little bit on the short side, but I think you had great effort. And I think you used good terms to explain your points. Yeah. And our third speaker also used good hand motions and had a good, comfortable stance. And gave examples that are both positive and negative. I think that's a very good tool in presenting the answer. Yeah. And finally, yeah, for the fourth table topic speaker, also a little bit on the brief side, but it was a great response. I think you made your point very clear, and it was an interesting question too. And you also present your answers in an interesting way. So let's give a hand for the four table topic speakers today. And finally, I will briefly evaluate the evaluators for today. Yeah, so our first evaluator, Rennie. So you evaluated Claire's performance and her speech, and you also started with, today I'll mention 4 points on why I thought her speech was good. So that's very good, concise, specific. Yeah, and for the second evaluator, Ellen, you gave both criticism and encouragement to good balance. Why are you shaking your head? Okay. So, yeah, you also made a point about maintaining eye contact with the audience. I think that's a very important point. And for the third evaluator, you gave a good point about evaluating, about slowing down when you're nervous. I think I also mentioned that. And give time for the audience to comprehend. That's a really good comment. And finally, for the fourth evaluator, Mark, you started with saying, oh, today the topic I'm going to evaluate is blah, 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 blah. So that's like a good reminder because everyone wants to have a good visual about what they heard about before you listen to the evaluation. So I think that's a very good thing to keep in mind. A very good job. And also gave a very good comment about giving more eye contact to the audience. I think all speakers have learned about this today. So let's give a hand for the 4 evaluators today.